Today, we are going to be moving on today to 14-3. We are going to be talking all about units of weight. But before we do that, I just want to take a second to go over with you guys what we have talked about so far this week as far as using the customary units of measurement. Just a reminder for you guys, the customary system of measurement is used here in the United States. The rest of the world, or I should say a majority of the world, the most popular system that they use, if you guys remember, it is the metric system, which we are going to be diving into next week. But so far with the customary system, on Monday we talked about length. Length is how long an object is from one end to the other. It could go side to side, horizontally, or it could go up and down vertically. The units of length that we talked about were inches, which is the smallest unit, then feet, yards, and miles, which is the largest unit to measure length. After we moved on from length, yesterday we talked all about capacity. Now, capacity is the volume or the space that an object can hold inside of it. So that's why we think of liquid mostly with that, because we know that we have our water bottles, our soda, our juice, our milk, all of those things come in containers and they are all liquids. But capacity can also hold solids when we're talking about baking or using measuring cups. If you're doing sugar or pancake mix or anything like that, it does also take up the capacity, the space inside. We talked about 5 units of capacity. Those aren't all of the units. As you guys saw, there's also teaspoons and tablespoons. We didn't talk about those, but they are also customary units of capacity. But the 5 that we are focusing on are fluid ounces, which is the smallest unit of capacity, cups, then pints, quarts, and last but not least, the largest unit for capacity is gallons. Okay, so today we are moving on and we are going to be talking about units of weight. Weight is how heavy an object is. There are 3 units that we are going to be focusing on today, so let's have a look. So our words to know, we have a key, we have a peach, we have a very cute kitten here, a giraffe, and this is a pan balance scale.
How do you measure weight? Think about this question during the lesson.
So how do you measure weight? So if you wanted to know how much something weighs, think about some tools that you might use to figure out how much something weighs.
Weight is how heavy an object is. Here are some customary units for measuring weight.
So these are the 3 units that we were talking about, or that I had mentioned to you guys just previously. An ounce is the smallest unit for measuring weight in the customary system. It is abbreviated by OZ. And an ounce, if you guys remember when we were in school, I passed around a key for you guys to feel it all. But if your parent has a key, if you want to remember what an ounce feels like, you can just hold one key in your hand. That'll give you that concrete representation of it, about an ounce. For a pound, they are showing you a very small kitten. Now, for reference, when I first brought home Winston, he was 4 pounds and he was really, really tiny. So I want you guys to kind of think about that as an estimate for about what a pound would weigh, a small kitten. 1 ton, if you guys remember, there's a huge difference between 1 pound and 1 ton, which is represented right here between a kitten and a giraffe. If you stood the kitten up next to the giraffe, it would not be very tall in comparison. 1 ton is actually equivalent to 2,000 pounds. So think about how much you weigh and think about that in comparison to 2,000 pounds. There's a huge difference between pounds and ounces.
A key might... A giraffe weighs about 1 ton. What other objects do you know of that might weigh about 1 ounce, 1 pound, and 1 ton?
So if you're up for a challenge, you can actually pause this video right here and you can go wander around your home and see if you can find something that might be equivalent to about the weight of a key, or maybe something that would be equivalent to the weight of 1 pound. I would love to see what you guys come up with. I don't want you going to try and find anything that weighs a ton. Hint, hint, you probably won't find it in your house.
Here are some examples of things that you might measure with the customary units for weight. Ounce, a trading card. Pound, a bag of sugar. Ton, a horse.
Okay, so for an ounce, they have a trading card, a Pokemon card, a regular card from a deck of cards, anything like that would be that equivalent. Sugar comes, I think, in a 2 or 3 pound bag, but they're saying that would be near a pound. And a ton, you can think a horse. A horse is a really large animal that would weigh about a ton.
Think about the units of measurement for weight again. Would an adult person be weighed in pounds or in tons?
All right, so this is always the fun, the fun question here. I actually think Logan got me on this one when we were in the classroom. So think about Miss Lawson. Think about me. I'm an adult person. Would I be weighed in pounds or tons? Think about which would be the most appropriate unit to measure the weight of a person. Keep in mind, the unit to measure is usually a smaller unit, not going to be a larger unit.
The weight of an adult person would be measured in pounds.
Yes, pounds.
How much does a peach weigh? Let's find out.
Okay, so if you've never had or held a peach before, you guys could also visualize an apple for this. They weigh about the same.
Would it make sense to use a pound or a ton to measure the weight of a peach?
So
Explain.
think about a peach or an apple. If I asked you to measure the weight of that fruit, would you find it appropriate to measure it in pounds or tons? Or neither of those things?
It would not make sense to use either one. One peach is very small. One peach weighs less than a pound.
So, a good way to think about this, as far as determining if you should measure an object's weight with ounces, pounds, or tons, a rule of thumb I like to go by is if I pick up an object and it's super easy for me to pick it up, I can literally just lift it with no strain, no thought, no nothing. Like, no energy really at all, that I would weigh or I would measure its weight with ounces. Now, if I pick something up and it requires effort, it's not impossible. I can do it. An adult person could lift it up by themselves or with help from another adult person. I would measure it with pounds. If it's an object that an adult or two adults could not pick up on their own, they would need something to lift it, I would go with tons. So think super easy, minimal to no effort whatsoever. A little bit of effort, some work, you can tell you're lifting something. You might go when you're picking it up. Impossible to pick up.
The best unit to measure the weight of a peach would be an ounce. What unit would you use to measure the weight of a basket of peaches?
Okay, so we went from one single peach, which we measured with ounces. We were able to pick that up without any thought. Now, if y'all have ever gone apple picking, peach picking, or any kind of orange picking, if you've ever been down to Florida, if you've ever picked fruit like this in this shape, if you get a big bag of them, after a while, it starts to get heavy. It went from being super easy to carry just one or two to now we have a big basket of them. I'm really straining to try and pick that up. What unit do you think would be the most appropriate for us to now measure that weight of the basket? If you said pounds, then I agree.
You would use pounds to measure the weight of a basket of peaches. What unit would you use to measure the weight of a large dump truck full of peaches?
Now, if I went down to the peach orchard by my dad's house in Georgia and I took a big dump truck and I filled the whole bed of the dump truck up with peaches, how do you think I would measure the weight of that? We're not talking about the whole truck. We're just talking about all these peaches in here. Do you think I would be able to carry all those peaches by myself at one time? Or me and my dad carry all those peaches by ourselves? I don't know. Might be a little heavy.
You would use tons to measure the weight of a large dump truck full of peaches.
If you went with tons, you're absolutely correct.
Now that you have chosen the appropriate unit to measure, estimate to see how many keys would weigh the same as the peach.
Okay, so let's think back to the beginning of this video. They said that the key weighs approximately 1 ounce. So what we're going to do, what we have to visualize here, this is a pan balance scale. And you guys can think of a scale kind of like a seesaw. If you've ever played on a seesaw at a playground, what happens with a seesaw is the heavier object goes down and the lighter object goes up. Now, if both objects weigh the same, they are going to be level. It's going to balance straight out.
Why can you use the weight of a key to find out the approximate weight of the peach?
So let's think back to when we were first talking about length on Monday. We were trying to measure, I think his name was Greg's toy car. And instead of using a ruler, which would be and use inches, which would be a standard form of measurement, we used a paper clip, which is something called a non-standard unit of measure. So the same thing, the same rule applies here. This key is about 1 ounce. So if we have multiple keys that all weigh about 1 ounce, they're identical in shape and size, we can use those keys as a non-standard form of measurement to figure out approximately how many ounces this peach weighs.
Since the key weighs about 1 ounce, it's a good basic unit of measurement for the weight of one peach. Look at the pan balance. Visualize how many keys it would take to level this pan balance. If you used too few keys, the weight of the peach would tip the balance down to the left. If you used too many keys, the weight of the keys would tip the balance down to the right.
So notice how now they have too many keys on the pan balance on this side. So the peach is actually higher than the keys. The overall weight of these keys is greater than the overall weight of that one peach.
If you used 8 keys, the balance will tip very little. Thus, the peach weighs about 8 ounces. Now you can measure. Place the peach on one pan of the balance. Place a 1 ounce weight on the other pan. Add 1 ounce weights until the balance is level, and count the number of 1 ounce. How many 1 ounce weights were used to make the pan balance level?
They have 7 1 ounce weights there, so therefore the peach would be equivalent to 7 ounces.
7 1 ounce weights were used to level the pan balance. Use of the pan balance helps you find the weight of the peach. What does it mean when a pan balance is perfectly level? When a pan balance is perfectly level, the weights of the items on both sides are equal.
Perfect.
Now you know how to weigh objects using customary units.
All right, guys, so we are going to really quickly just review. So we have our customary units of weight sheet here. Let me zoom in a little bit for us. So customary units of weight. So the smallest unit is an ounce. Its abbreviation is OZ. Again, it's the smallest unit. And I want you guys to think of a key. The next unit of customary unit of weight would be a pound. The abbreviation is LB, and remember that's from the Spanish word that's where that LB comes from. I believe it's libras. If I totally butchered that, please forgive me, but I believe that's what the word is. Just for reference, it takes 16 ounces to equal the weight of 1 pound. So if I wanted to balance out 1 pound, I would have to have 16 keys on that pan balance. We want you guys to think of a kitten as a reference for this. Then we go to the largest customary unit of weight, which is the ton. The abbreviation for this, it's so large, it's so great that this is the only abbreviation that has that capital T, okay? It has a capital T where all of the other ones are lowercase. And its weight is 2,000 pounds is equivalent to 1 ton, and we want you guys to think of a giraffe, okay? So let's jump into our quiz. Hang on. I'm going to make this bigger for y'all too. Okay, so which is the most appropriate unit to measure the weight of a chair? So I'm looking at these answer choices, and right away, there is one that's standing out to me that I'm like, are you kidding me, man? You really put that in there? Are you trying to trick me? And that is, I'm noticing, and I want you guys to see if you can figure out which one it is. There is a unit here that does not measure weight. It instead measures capacity. And that right away is going to be a nonsense answer. Do you think you guys can tell me what that unit is that measures capacity? Holding out like Dora the Explorer again. If you said gallons, you are absolutely correct. So we are eliminating C right away. I didn't even read the rest of the question. I just know I'm talking about weight. So it's definitely not going to be a unit that measures capacity. So which is the most appropriate unit to measure the weight of a chair? All right, so let's go back to that logic of what Miss Lawson said before. If it's something I can pick up without any effort, then I'm going to put it in for ounces. If it's something that I'm going to strain a little bit, pounds. If it's something that's impossible for me to pick up, that's going to be tons. So I have a chair right here that I'm sitting on, and I'm going to try and pick that up for you guys. I'm straining a little bit, y'all. So do we think that if I pick up my chair, I am going to be measuring it in ounces, pounds, or tons? If you went with the pounds, I couldn't agree with you more. You can give yourself a nice pat on the back. Our next question says, which is the most appropriate unit to measure the weight of a sandwich? So, we have ounces, teaspoons, pounds, and tons. So once again, they are throwing in a unit of capacity here. I know this is not one that we talked about, but we know it's not a unit of weight, so we have to throw that garbage answer out. So right away, I'm eliminating B. And I want to think about a sandwich. Now, don't get me wrong. Your girl loves a nice big hearty sandwich, but I can tell you right now, I am not picking up a 2,000-pound sandwich, so I'm also eliminating D. Now, I might be stuck between ounces and pounds, depending on if it's my day after Thanksgiving sandwich or not. But let's just say it's a normal day, a normal sandwich. I am not straining at all. I can pick it up with one hand. I can hold it between two fingers. And if I can do that, then the most appropriate unit would be a ounces. Number 3, pounds would be the most appropriate unit for measuring the weight of which object? A pencil, a small bird, a sofa, or a ship. Now again, think of that logic. Ounces, we can pick it up no problem without even thinking about it. Like I could hold it all day and it wouldn't hurt me to hold it. Something that is going to be measured with pounds, I can pick it up, but I'm straining a little bit. And something that would be measured in tons, it's impossible. So a pencil, I have one right here in my hand. I picked it up. You guys didn't even notice that I picked it up. So that would probably be ounces. A small bird, I don't know if y'all have ever had the privilege of being able to hold a small bird, but it's ounces. It's so light. It's literally light as a feather, its whole body. So it wouldn't be that one. Then we have sofa. Now y'all might be saying, I don't know if you could pick up a sofa, Miss Lawson. I can pick up a sofa. I might need help from someone else, but I am definitely strong enough to move a couch. A ship, on the other hand, like the Titanic or a Disney cruise ship, your girl can't pick that up. We would be measuring that in tons. So the most appropriate unit for pounds or object to measure the weight of in pounds would be C, sofa. Number 4, which is the most appropriate tool to measure the weight of a pony? So now I want to think of a tool to measure weight. Does a ruler measure weight? Absolutely not. A ruler measures length. More specifically, it's measuring inches or a foot, possibly. A scale, is that something that measures weight? I think so. A quart jar, that's capacity for sure. And a yardstick, that is also going to be length. The best choice here, the only choice here that measures weight is going to be B, a scale. And then our final question, which is the most appropriate unit to measure the weight of a blue whale? So fun fact for you guys, the blue whale, if you didn't know, it is the largest animal on the planet. You can Google it. It's actually really cool. They are ginormous. So I want you guys to think larger than an elephant. Way, 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 way larger than an elephant. It makes an elephant look like an ant. That's the size of this whale, okay? So would we measure its weight using quarts, ounces, pounds, or tons? So again, there are two here that are standing out to me that are absolute nonsense answers. They are both measuring capacity, and we're going to eliminate them first. That would be ounces and quarts. Those are gone. Oh, I apologize. This is not fluid ounces. So this is still weight. So quart is gone. We could keep this one in, but it's also light as a feather, so we're eliminating it anyway. Nonsense. I could definitely not pick up a blue whale without straining if it's a million times my size. So then we have pound and ton. Now, this is the largest animal in the world. Do you think it would be more appropriate for us to measure it in pounds or for us to measure its weight in tons? If you said tons, you are absolutely correct. So let's see how we did. Drum roll, please. And we got them all correct. Awesome. So what I want for you guys to do today, in addition to your workbook page, which will be posted on top of our plans for the day, our lessons that you guys have to complete, is I want for you to, same as Monday and Tuesday, find an object around your house and tell me how you would measure it. If you would find, if the most appropriate unit would be ounces, or if the most appropriate unit would be pounds. If you want to go outside with your parents' permission, get creative and maybe find something that you could measure its weight in tons, I would love to see something like that as well. Just make sure that you are picking the most appropriate unit. I miss you guys so much. I'm proud of you. The work coming in is beautiful. Keep up the great work. Can't wait to talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great day, y'all.